This is Nick with Nick Gooden Photography, and today I'm really excited to bring you an exclusive look at what's in my bag and the gear that I use. First of all, let's look at the cases I use. This is a Pelican 1510. Over here to my left is the Pelican 1200, and this right here is the Retrospective 10 by Think Tank. Now I have a lot of other cases and a lot of other gear that goes out with me on most shoots, but for the sake of time I want to keep things minimal and really point out some of the priority gear that I have. In this case here is really the essentials, the stuff that I need to make sure that a shoot goes well, the things that I use day in and day out. Right here is really my workhorse, and you can see I have it all set up right out of the case. And I've laid my case out in such a way that I can easily put things together so that my clients aren't waiting on you. This right here is the Nikon D700. Attached to it is the battery grip and a 24-70 lens. The last thing on top here is a little power supply that Pocket Wizard just came out with that powers my Pocket Wizard, and it's great because then I don't have to change batteries out on that, and it draws just a very minimal amount of power off my camera. And finally, one of my shameless plugs that I will plug all day long in this will be the Black Rapid strap. There's really nothing quite like a Black Rapid strap. If you've been out there and you've tried other things and you're frustrated, get yourself a Black Rapid, give it a shot. You're going to love how easy it is to free up your hands, work with your clients, and I'll probably point that out multiple times throughout this. So that's kind of my main camera, my main workhorse camera lens and body. Secondly is the other D700, the sister to this brother here. And this gets used really in conjunction with the other main lens that I carry, which is the 70-200 VR2. This lens is a phenomenal lens, and honestly it can do things that I think a lot of people don't even know it can do. And it's not just for those long shots at a wedding. It really is some of my best portrait work comes out of this lens right here, and I love it to death. So usually I have both these guys put together and shoot with both those, kind of swapping between the two camera and lens combinations without really having to change the lenses. And it's a great way to minimize getting dust into your camera system. It's also great to not have to have your clients wait on you while you're changing lenses. So another lens that I keep in this case is the 50mm 1.4G from Nikon. It's a great lens, really is a backup lens to these lenses based on the fact that these carry the focal length that I want without having to change lenses. So set that right there. To finish out the bottom of this case, I have a Nikon SB910. So we'll set that over here. And then I also have a Nikon SB700 that I keep in this case. A few other things that I have in here are a little bag that I have some miscellaneous tools and parts, and that comes in handy every once in a while. The bottom section here I have some Think Tank battery packs, just some extra battery packs that I use in my Pocket Wizards right there, and then some extra batteries that for the camera bodies. Up top here in this divider, which is really handy if you buy one of these cases, make sure you get this divider. It really helps you organize some of your smaller accessories. I have a rocket blaster and a lens pen, and finally just a basic lens cloth in there. Those guys kind of live right there. Up top here I have a lot of accessories, tissues, a marker, some cards, some business cards, and so like a lens wipe, another lens wipe, some little power cables and different things. Some little small accessories go into here, and it kind of gets interchanged, kind of like the jump drawer. Down here is probably one of the more important things, which is our memory cards, and this is the Think Tank Pixel Pocket Rocket. It is a great way to store your cards. I always just flip them over when they're used, and at a wedding this stays on me in my back pocket all the time and doesn't leave me. So I know that those are with me because it's nice and thick, and I feel really secure knowing that they're in here. So that's great. The last thing that's in this little pocket is a small silicone gel container. This really helps with any kind of humidity that may get trapped in this case. Because it's airtight, it always runs the risk of possibly getting too much humidity in there and causing some moisture buildup when it's closed, or changing up temperatures and climates and stuff like that. Some different environments that I may be working in. Over here is some more think tank battery supplies. I use specifically the in-loop batteries. So, and I may be a little OCD about things, but I have them organized in here in the way that they actually go into my flash, so that I can quickly put them right into my flash and not have to fiddle around with which one's up and which one's down. So I have 4 of those in here. And then finally down here is where I keep all my pocket wizards. The main part of that really is going to be my transmitter, which is the Mini TT1. That goes around the top of the camera there. And like I was saying before, the little power supply just plugs right in on the side here. And I usually leave that little cable on there because it just gets plugged right in. And now the TT1 is powered. I can change out the button battery every time I go out. I was burning through a lot of those little button batteries, which I do have some of those in here just in case, and we need them. Down here I have the Pocket Wizard TT5 Flex. So the reason it's called a Flex is it can be a receiver or a transmitter, so they call that a transceiver. And I actually have these little devices that allows them to wrap real easily and go right onto a stand. So I have 2 of those in here, and they're set up to receive right now. So those are great. I have a couple more of those, and they're on light stands. I'll set this over here for you. They're on light stands already. And then final little piece that's in here is the AC3 from Pocket Wizard. This little device has 3 separate zones on it with some nice little dials, kind of an on-off manual automatic switch. So it makes the ability to control 3 separate zones just really at your fingertips, instead of having to dive into any menus within your camera to, you know, change any settings. This is just right here on top. I use this all the time. It's a great way to really feel like you have control of your lighting that you have set up. So great little setup. It's kind of how a setup would be like on a corporate or a fashion shoot or a commercial shoot that I would be on. A lot of times for weddings though, I won't be using this very much except for when doing some like portrait work or a bridal session, something like that. A lot of times I'll leave this guy on and be controlling some off-camera flash with this as well, say during the reception. And this works in conjunction, which is a phenomenal thing, considering that, you know, you're still getting all the control that you would normally have, you know, and it's passing right through that TT and that Pocket Wizard transmitter without confusing anything. So that works really great. It's a great essential piece. Over here, in this case, the 1200, I keep a power supply for the 910, and that really is to really give me the ability to burst through a lot of photos and not worry about my flash running out of power. So this holds 8 batteries, plus that makes 12. So I'll change this once throughout the day. This will be after ceremony. If the ceremony is indoors, after the ceremony this will get switched out with a new set of batteries, and then it'll last the rest of the day for the whole reception. So love that. It's made by Bolt. And then another Nikon SB700. In here I have a couple light filters for the SB700. And finally, to round out the cases, in the retrospective 10 over here, you can see as I open it, kind of has that really loud Velcro, which is good in one way because it really keeps the bag closed really well. But you can't be doing that at a rehearsal or a ceremony or somewhere where you're making a lot of noise. So they make these silencers that allows you to cover up the Velcro, and then your bag just kind of lid flops right over like that. So I'll use that a lot of times during the ceremony if I want to carry some extra gear around. This bag really is missing something. It's missing a whole camera, which is on a tripod right over there. And on my Vanguard tripod is sitting my Nikon D800 which also has a battery pack on it. Love that camera. It's been a new addition to my other cameras, and I've been using it a lot for all kinds of different things. It really is allowing me to do a lot of new stuff that I haven't been able to do before, and I'm finding some really cool ways to utilize those extra megapixels that that camera offers me. On that camera right now is the Nikon 28 1.8. It is a phenomenal lens, great depth of field, just a sweet lens, really sharp, very fast lens. If someone is looking for one of their first lenses to buy and they're looking for a prime, for under $700, I would highly recommend that lens. So that combination, the D800 and the 28 to 1.8, lives in this bag right here, and a lot of times it'll be getting used by a second shooter or one of my assistants. This is kind of like an assistant bag. Also inside of here, since my assistants do a lot of my detail work for me, I have the VR 105 from Nikon, and I absolutely love this lens. It's a great portrait lens, great detail lens. There's tons of great reviews out there on it. Don't let anybody sell this lens short to you. This is a great backup lens to this lens if this lens would ever go down. So, I'm all about having backup and extra equipment, so this really brings that backup to that lens. Another rocket blaster, just in case my assistant gets something on a camera when they're out in the field. In the front pouch here, which you can't see very clearly, but I have a power cable for an iPhone, and then also a little battery backup for an iPhone, just in case we have a battery start getting dead. Communication is key sometimes, and sometimes I get in some remote locations where we don't have really great cell connectivity, and the battery starts getting drained really fast, so we get in trouble, and then the power supply like that really helps out. Another thing is there's another think tank, and this is called the Peewee Pocket. What is this called? The Peewee PPR. So this right here has some more flashcards, some compact flashcards in it, and I specifically use the SanDisk Extreme Pro compact flashcards. I just found them to be great. There's some really great articles out there about other brands, but it's what I've always used. I love those. In this front pouch, really is one of my favorite purchases this year, and that would be the Black Rapid Yeti. Now, I've seen a lot of people out there wear more than one camera, and they look like they're going to war. And I wanted something very minimalistic, and this is actually the slim version, which is a little bit slimmer strap in this section here. And what I found during the ceremony, because I like to shoot with two cameras, I can't be setting a camera down. And this really gives me the versatility of having both cameras in a slim kind of trim way. So if I want to, wear something and not look like I'm covering up the, the style and what I'm trying to look like, this strap right here is very important. So one of the cool things about it is actually this section over here comes off with a couple straps like that, and the next thing you know, you have another Black Rapid strap. So, and then this section here you can just toss in your bag. So a lot of times after a ceremony and I'm done shooting with two cameras, I'm getting ready to do some family work, say inside or outside the church, I'll quickly drop down to my main camera body and drop my other camera body with my assistant and the strap, and they tuck it away. So great product here. Then finally in here I have another RS7 strap and a little attachment for the bottom of the camera. It's a great piece of equipment again. And then a few other just random things. Little rain pouch for this specific case, and a lens cleaner, stuff like that. So these are kind of the essentials that live in a case. And I want to bring in one more item that I take on every shoot that I go on. I'm a real big advocate for off-camera flash. I use that a lot. I think it's just essential to being able to really capture the photos in the best way and really use lighting, the backlight, natural light. So mixing a lot of light. So I want to bring in, I'm going to pull it off stand over here. This is my other SB 910, and it sits on another Flex TT5 from Pocket Wizard, and it is attached to the Rapid Box, the Octo Rapid Box, and it is one of my favorite light modifiers that I have. You can attach it to other light sources, but one of my favorite things about it is you can buy this accessory, which is this disc, that allows you to really create a beauty dish effect, where the light really wraps around the edges and really kills that hot spot in the middle. So gorgeous, gorgeous portrait work with this thing. The only thing I would say that I don't like about it is that it really needs to have Velcro on the edges, because this gets in the wind and there's enough tension that stays on, but in a good wind this box kind of almost becomes obsolete. I need to move to a different piece of equipment. So this goes with me almost everywhere. Anytime I'm outside I use this. I use this indoors sometimes as well. It's a great little setup. You know, add the bolt power supply and you can shoot through quite a bit and get enough power to do a lot of things with it. So that's what's in my bag. And I'm excited that you took the time to watch this all the way through. Hopefully you learned a few things. And I'm going to be going into some more detailed videos on some of the products that I really love and like, that I feel like are key to achieving really great photography. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comment section below. And thanks for tuning in.